I mean, I think the responsibility is enormous. I mean, I come to this first and foremost as a fan. I care about these books so deeply, and I think that the thing I feared the most was not living up to the film that I had already made in my head. And knowing that hundreds of thousands, millions of people who've already read these books each have their own different film in their heads was frightening. But it's also a privilege, and it's incredibly invigorating to try and live up to those dreams. And we've done our best.
Like any question with the word tease lends itself to an answer from desire.
Okay. I mean, I would say that there's a lot of things that you can expect from the comics that are absolutely entirely featured in it. But the really fun thing about this version of the show is I think it would have been really easy to make a TV show about Sandman that was a television show that was just like classic, followed the kind of rules of turning everything into this action adventure, taking all the drama and the blood that you can out of a piece. And I, as a viewer, was surprised by things I had nothing to do with, when I wasn't, things I'm not in, where I, could even have envisioned it going in a different direction, and they did the unexpected thing. So I think that fans will be really surprised by the power of the creatives behind the show and how singular their vision is in a way that really, it's beautifully done. And really shocking how they avoided all of the pitfalls, I think, of adapting something that's very popular into this medium.
I don't think you have to have read the comics. I think that the world is so immersive from the very beginning. It's totally clear. It's really epic. It whips you along. Your emotions are grabbed and you're totally taken along on this amazing journey. And it's very, very clear. It's an extraordinary imagining of the comic books, but it's just basically a really great story.
I mean, I can tell you about the first time I saw myself with the helm. I mean, I've tried hard, potentially not to see myself on screen in character, only because I always find it much easier to pretend to be someone if I've never seen myself pretending to be them, because I know myself pretty well and I see myself and go, oh, you're not them. But the helm was something that was incredibly exciting to build. It's made from the bones of a defeated god. It's his spine and carved together to his skull. And the extraordinary act of skill and technique in the men and women who made it was profoundly exciting. Those things don't come out of nothing, and that's the reason I made a joke about you making it for Halloween. It took them months of refining it and creating this thing that I feel is sort of organic, and as opposed to sort of the helmets we're used to in these kind of stories, which are made of iron, I believe. Iron Man, guys.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
We should have got that. Yeah, that was on us.
Comic-Con!
It takes a lot of tape. A lot of gaff tape. No, it takes a lot of tape, a lot of incredible people behind you to sort of, help form and visualize the world, that Desire inhabits, because I think that does a lot of the work. I'd like to think that my performance is part of it and a lot of it, but the truth is that in reality, there are so many other departments that went into making the character and the scenes that I'm a part of incredibly believable and incredibly immersive. So the costume departments and Alan and Neil, for the words, really made my job 10 times easier than it could have been, because it is a very daunting prospect to imagine, adapting something that's this iconic, especially with characters that are this iconic, and we're the endless. It's insane. I still geek out about it. Sometimes I think about it. I'm like, oh my god, that's amazing. But everybody really comes together to help ground it as much as they possibly can, so that I can be as delicious as I want and kind of, toy with my siblings and play around.
Well, I did my callback with Neil, which is, it's so rare that you would, I mean, I will say this, that I think that this project has been made, the strength of this project is that the creator, the architect of this world has been so heavily involved. I think so often with adaptations, for whatever the reason is, though, you don't get the same mind from start to finish. And I think we are incredibly lucky, and that is the strength of Sandman. That it is Neil's dream from beginning, from 1989 to 2021. This is his dream realized. I did my callback with Neil, and getting direct notes from not just the creator of Sandman, but the creator of this character. I mean, I don't think there's anyone, there will never be a note that is more bona fide and more, than getting it from Neil. And so I think that we all have our individual relationship with him, and having access to him, I think this project wouldn't be what it is had we not had that. Well, I really like that, because I think that it's not that you have to be best friends with death, but I think we all, whether we like it or not, and most of us spend our whole lives avoiding it, we all have a relationship with death. And if we have not, or you've not acknowledged it, you will, and you do. And so I think you have to, in some ways, if not make friends, then make peace with it. And that was a real way into the character. I mean, I was familiar with the story and familiar with Sandman, so I knew that the idea of death that Neil had presented was not one that is traditionally seen, this sort of dark, heavy doom and gloom, that she was someone that you wanted to be friends with and get a drink with. Because if you are taking someone, you essentially are entrusted to guide someone to an absolute and complete unknown, from a world where they do know everything, and everything is so familiar, and it is your job to take them, then you want to be someone who is nurturing, who is caring, who is comforting, because that is the absolute most vulnerable a human being can ever be.
That is exactly what I wanted. I was so phenomenally lucky to play Gwen for nearly a decade. But, what I want is I want a challenge, and I want to play a range of radically different parts. And so it was just a divine moment to have these conversations with Alan and Neil and say, I want to play Lucifer, and them say, yes, that's it. We think that's a great idea. And so for me to be able to investigate just radically different things to things I'd ever visited in a role before, to be so entirely different and transformed physically, as well as trying to galvanize and organize the parts of myself that are appropriate for the character in order to create a performance. But I have to say, I love playing Pop because I really loved working with Tom, and I found that it was a pure delight to arrive on set and Dream was present. And then to be able to play the scene with someone who is so respectful as an actor that you can go to many different places and gives you so much that you can respond and try things out and play. And this is an incredible project to be a part of. It really is, because it has been made with love. People that really care about it. And that's a rare thing. And I think it translates so well onto the screen.
I haven't watched it yet, so
No time.
I'm going to pass this on.
I think probably my favourite scene is the scene between Tom and Gwendoline, between Dream and Lucifer in Hell. There's a specific moment. Fans of the show will be familiar, but I don't want to give anything away. But they are adversaries. They are embroiled in a literally a fight for Dream's life, for his existence. And there is a moment where something is said and it is undeniable, and I think that is the beauty of this show, is sometimes Neil has woven through these nuggets, and you will hear something that is spoken, and I've read the comic and I've heard this line, read this line tons of times, and hearing it said out loud, the crescendo of your meeting, I think it is really, really beautiful. And there are these moments in the show, amidst all the fantasy and the incredible sets, but there are just moments of dialogue that give you a second to pause and really reflect, and I think that's really
It's like
rare.
a moment of truth.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
moment of truth
A
about
moment
the
of truth.
human condition.
100%.
And suddenly there's something there that's so honest
Yeah.
and illuminating about how we live our lives as humans and about the human experience. It strikes you with real
Very
clarity.
striking.
It's very beautiful.
Yeah.